All right, let's get into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Hyperledger FireFly. It's an open-source project that's all about bridging that huge gap between blockchain's promise and what enterprises actually need to get stuff done. It's been called a supernode, and we're about to find out exactly what that means and why it matters.
So to kick things off, let's start with something that might surprise you. When you think about a big enterprise blockchain project, your mind probably goes straight to the ledger, that immutable chain of records. But get this, the actual ledger part, that's only about 10% of a full-blown solution.
And that, right there, is the million-dollar question for any architect trying to build a real-world decentralized app. If the blockchain itself is just 10%, what in the world is the other 90%?
Well, that massive 90%, that's what we call the enterprise blockchain gap. It's all the messy, complicated, behind-the-scenes plumbing you need to actually connect a blockchain to existing business systems and make it do something useful.
And we're not talking about small stuff here. This is the heavy lifting. Things like, how do you send private data between companies without putting it all on-chain? Where do you store large files? How do you connect this new tech to your decades-old IT systems? You need solid APIs, event-driven services, all of it. This is where the real work happens, and honestly, it's where most projects get completely stuck.
So, with that huge problem laid out, let's talk about the solution. A solution engineered from the ground up to fill that gap. This is where Hyperledger FireFly steps in and introduces a really powerful new idea, the supernode.
Now, let's be super clear. A supernode is not a blockchain. Think of it as a complete orchestration layer that sits right on top of the blockchain. Its whole job is to handle all that messy plumbing for you, the private data, the digital assets, the event streams, and wrap it all up in a single, clean experience for your developers.
So what's the payoff? Well, the impact on development speed is just massive. Because FireFly gives you all this critical plumbing pre-built and ready to go, it can speed up the process of building a Web3 application by a factor of 10 or even 100. That is a total game changer.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly explains the core value. Instead of your developers burning cycles trying to figure out the low-level details of Ethereum or Fabric, they get to focus on what actually creates value for your business, building the application logic.
This table really clarifies things. You see, FireFly isn't trying to replace ledgers like Besu or Fabric. It's the critical middleware layer that works with them. While the blockchain clients handle the deep-down stuff like consensus and network permissions, FireFly operates a level above, focusing on orchestrating the application and managing the flow of data, both on and off the chain.
Okay, so how does it actually do all this cool stuff? Let's pop the hood and take a quick look at the core mechanics humming away inside the FireFly engine.
The first and most important principle you have to grasp is FireFly's approach to privacy. And for some folks, it's a bit radical. The rule is simple. With FireFly, you never, ever, ever put sensitive business data directly on the blockchain ledger. So how does it work? It uses this really clever three-step dance called hash pinning. First, off-chain it creates a unique digital fingerprint, that's a hash, of your private data. Second, it takes just that tiny fingerprint and pins it to the blockchain. That gives you an unbreakable, perfectly ordered timestamp of your event. And then finally, the actual data itself gets sent directly and securely to the other parties. You get the best of both worlds, verifiable, sequenced events without ever exposing your secrets. And it's not just about data. FireFly also brings order to the world of digital assets, making it way easier to work with tokens. But its real superpower is what's called its pluggable architecture. Think of it like a universal adapter for Web3. It's built in a modular way so you can connect it to pretty much any blockchain, Ethereum, Fabric, Tezos, Cardano, you name it, or any database or messaging system your company already relies on. And you can do it all without rewriting your app.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world? Let's check out how some major industry consortiums are putting it to the test.
Let's start with the Synaptic Health Alliance. We're talking a group of some of the biggest health insurers in the US. They had this monster of a problem: keeping their directories of doctors and clinics accurate and up to date. It sounds simple, but that one issue cost the industry more than $2 billion a year. So what happened when they used FireFly to build a shared, synchronized source of truth for all that provider data? The results were just staggering. One member of the alliance reported a 500% annual return on their investment. And that wasn't from selling a new product. That was purely from cutting out the incredible waste of everyone maintaining their own separate, inaccurate spreadsheets.
And you see the same story in the insurance world with the RiskStream Collaborative. Their big headache was the slow, painful, and risky process of verifying that someone had passed away before paying out a life insurance claim. So they used FireFly to build a mortality monitor, a single, trusted source for that data. The outcome? They radically cut down claim times and slashed administrative costs for everyone in the network.
So these real-world examples show what's possible right now. But where is all this headed? See, FireFly isn't just a tool that's sitting still. It's a platform that is constantly evolving, and it's helping shape the very future of how we think about digital trust.
You can see that evolution just by looking at its release history. It hit version 1.0, ready for production, back in 2022. Fast forward to 2024, and it's adding major new features and support for other chains like Tezos. Then in 2025, it adds an official connector for Cardano. There's a clear trajectory here of maturation and expanding its reach across the entire Web3 ecosystem.
And this technical progress is happening as part of a much bigger strategic shift. In 2024, its parent organization, the Hyperledger Foundation, actually broadened its mission to become the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust. That's a huge signal. It's a recognition that building trust in the future is about more than just ledgers. It's about identity, privacy, and, get this, even providing assurance for artificial intelligence.
And that leaves us with a final, really powerful idea to think about. At its core, FireFly is designed to create a verifiable, ordered stream of consciousness for business data. Now, as AI becomes absolutely central to how we run our companies, the authenticity of the data we train those models on becomes everything. So could the Supernode be that missing piece of the puzzle? The key infrastructure we need to finally build systems where we can truly trust our AI?